For those who don't know, there are many mysteries surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza. For hundreds of years, historians, engineers, archaeologists, and scientists have been studying it to understand how it was really built. And here, the more they discover, the more questions they have that aren't easily answered. And one of the things that experts immediately notice is the extremely high level of precision of the pyramid. It's hard to believe that this was built more than 4,000 years ago. But why is it that until now it still stands, and many of its parts are still almost perfectly aligned? When you walk around Giza, you'll see the huge blocks of stone used to build the pyramids. In some parts, there are even marks and cuts on the stone that are extremely precise. Because of this, some people believe that the ancient Egyptians might have used more advanced methods for cutting stone than we previously thought. But according to most archaeologists, there is still no evidence proving that they had modern machines back then. Instead, it is believed that they used tools made of stone and copper, along with sand that served as an abrasive to gradually shape the hard stones. Another reason why many people are attracted to the mystery of Giza is the arrangement of the three main pyramids. Some say that their arrangement resembles the three stars that make up Orion's belt. Furthermore, Giza is not just about the three large pyramids. Throughout the area, there are smaller pyramids, temples, pathways, chambers, and underground structures that show how vast the project undertaken by the ancient Egyptians was. One of the most unique parts of the area is what is called the Osiris Shaft. It is a deep underground structure discovered near the Great Pyramid. Inside it, there are chambers carved into the rock, passageways, and a large granite sarcophagus or stone coffin. What is even more impressive is its location. It is located deep underground, so it's only natural to ask how they were able to bring such heavy stone blocks down there. Until now, experts are still studying this. But according to many, the ancient Egyptians used a combination of ramps, ropes, wooden sledges, and thousands of workers to move the massive stones into their proper places. There is also a part of the Osiris Shaft. Osiris Shaft with water around the central chamber. Because of this, some researchers believe that it might be connected to an ancient water flow system. But until now, there is still not enough evidence to confirm exactly how it worked in ancient times. As time goes by, it becomes more evident that the ancient Egyptians had remarkable knowledge in engineering, mathematics, and planning. The construction of the Great Pyramid was not just a simple project. It was a massive operation that required organization, discipline, and precise calculations. In fact, the real mystery of the Great Pyramid might not be whether they had secret technology. What's even more remarkable is how they managed to build one of the greatest structures in history using only the tools they had at that time. Now let's move on to the main topic. What is the mystery of the pyramids that experts still don't fully understand? And that's what we're going to find out. But before we start the discussion, I'd like to ask you for a like and please subscribe to our channel. This is a huge help for us content creators. So let's get started. This is the Serapeum of Saqqara. At first glance, it just looks like a series of underground tunnels beneath the desert. But once you get inside, you'll see some of the largest granite blocks found in all of Egypt. Each of these boxes is enormous. Some of them weigh around 70 tons, including the lid. And what's even more impressive is that most of them were carved from a single massive block of granite. This isn't ordinary stone. Granite is one of the hardest types of stone in nature. Even in modern times, special equipment is still needed to cut and shape it properly. Because of this, many people are amazed at the quality of the craftsmanship of these blocks. When you look at their edges and surfaces, you'll notice that the shaping is very precise. The corners are almost perfectly square, and the walls of the box have nearly identical thickness. This is where many debates began. There are some people who believe that the technology used to make these boxes was more advanced than what is commonly taught in history. Some say that the ancient Egyptians might have had special tools that we still do not fully understand. But according to most archaeologists, there is still no evidence of modern machines or advanced tools in Egypt during that time. Instead, they believe that these boxes are the result of a very long period of training, skill in stoneworking, and a huge amount of manpower. In other words, there is no need for secret technology to achieve amazing results. Sometimes, thousands of skilled workers and many years of technological know-how are enough. Another mystery is the true purpose of these granite boxes. According to mainstream archaeology, these were made as the final resting place of the sacred Apis bulls, a type of holy bull that was important in the religion of ancient Egypt. But some critics question why the boxes had to be made so large and so precise if they were only meant for burial. The discussion about this continues to this day. One of the things often noticed by visitors to the Serapeum is the strange sound inside the chambers. When you speak in certain parts of the tunnel, the echo seems louder and lasts longer before fading away. But according to experts, this is normal in enclosed rooms made of hard stones, like granite. This is not evidence of any lost technology, but this is one of the reasons why the place feels unusual. Aside from the boxes themselves, another question often arises. How did they get these underground? The tunnels of the Serapeum are narrow compared to the size of some of the granite boxes. So until now, researchers are still studying exactly what method was used to move these from the quarry to their current location. And while the Serapeum is being debated, the attention of many returns to the most famous structure in Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza. One of its most impressive features is its orientation. The four sides of the pyramid are almost exactly facing the cardinal directions to the four main directions of the world: north, south, east, and west. For many years, scientists and engineers have admired how the ancient Egyptians accomplished this without a compass or modern equipment. According to researchers, they probably used careful observation of the stars to determine the correct direction. This is proof of how extensive their knowledge of astronomy was, and that the pyramid is not only impressive on the outside, inside it are rooms that are still being studied today. One of the most famous is the King's Chamber. This room is made of large blocks of granite and has unique acoustic properties. When someone speaks or makes a sound inside, the sound waves reflect off the walls and create a strong resonance. Let's listen to it together. Because of this, some people suggest that the design of the room might have a special purpose. But according to most experts, there is still no evidence proving that it was used for any advanced technology or mysterious energy system. For now, the safest conclusion is this: the Great Pyramid and the Serapeum are two remarkable examples of the abilities of the ancient Egyptians. There is still a lot we don't know about the exact way they worked, but one thing is clear. Thousands of years have passed, yet they continue to amaze engineers, scientists, and historians all over the world. And perhaps that's the reason why, even now, the mystery of Egypt still endures to this day. And while scientists study the inside of the pyramid, another more controversial idea emerged in the 20th century. An idea suggesting that maybe the Great Pyramid was not just a tomb. In 1962, a writer named Edward Kunkel published a book. In his book, he proposed a strange theory. According to him, the Great Pyramid may have served as a giant water pump. In this theory, the passages and chambers inside the pyramid were not just simple corridors. Instead, he said these were part of a large system used to move water. At first glance, this idea seems like science fiction. And for most Egyptologists, this is unbelievable. Many experts say there is not enough evidence to support this theory. There are also some engineers who have examined the concept and said it would be difficult for it to work based on the design described in the book. However, the interest of some researchers in these ideas has not completely disappeared. Some began to ask, if the Great Pyramid is so massive, why was so much time, money, and effort spent to build it? According to mainstream archaeology, the answer is related to religion, power, and the beliefs of the ancient Egyptians about life after death. For them, The pharaoh was not an ordinary ruler. He was a sacred person who played an important role in their beliefs. Because of this, it's not surprising that they were willing to spend enormous resources to build a monumental tomb. But for those who support the alternative theory, that explanation is still not enough. That's why they continue to look for other possible uses of the pyramid. This is where another mysterious place in Egypt comes in, Zawiyat Aryan. It's an archaeological site located not far from Giza. In this place, a large pit and some strange granite structures have been found, which researchers have been studying for a long time. In the early 1900s, the Italian archaeologist Alessandro Barsanti conducted an excavation. While excavating the site, he discovered large blocks of granite and other unusual structures compared to the typical structures. One of the most interesting discoveries was a large granite basin or container that was crafted with great precision. Because of this, various speculations began to emerge about its true purpose. Some said it was part of a ritual. Some said it was connected to an undiscovered underground complex. And there were also those who tried to link it to theories related to the Great Pyramid. But it's important to remember that most of these ideas remain mere speculation. There is still no solid evidence proving that the place is connected to any advanced technology or mysterious energy system. Another event that is often told about the site is the heavy rainfall that occurred during the excavation. According to old reports, the large pit was filled with water after a storm. After a few hours, the water level supposedly went down. Because of this, some people became suspicious. There might be hidden tunnels or chambers beneath the pit. The soil absorbs the water, but until now, there is still no clear evidence proving what really caused this. It could just be natural seepage of water underground. There might be cracks in the rocks, or there might be other explanations that haven't been discovered yet. And this is where the story of Egypt becomes even more fascinating. For every mystery that gets solved, a new question arises. With every new discovery, a new debate begins. Despite this, the First World War had broken out. Because of the war, many archaeological projects in Egypt stopped, leaving the site not yet fully explored. The story became even more mysterious when Barsanti passed away in 1917. And in the following decades, many researchers gradually lost interest in the site. But the story didn't end there. In the 1960s, the interest of some researchers in Zawiyat Aryan was revived. However, by that time, the site had already become part of a military zone. Because of this, researchers and archaeologists had limited access. Up to now, many parts of the site are still not as well studied compared to other archaeological sites in Egypt. Naturally, different theories started to emerge. Some say that the place might be connected to the Great Pyramid. There are also those who believe that there could be a hidden underground complex beneath it. At present, most of these remain as mere speculations. Along with these mysteries, there is another controversy that has resurfaced in recent decades. This is the theory that the Great Pyramid might not just be a tomb. There are writers and researchers who have suggested that it might have had another purpose in ancient times. One of the most popular ideas is the so-called water pump theory. According to this theory, some chambers and passages inside the Great Pyramid may have been part of a system related to the movement of water. But according to mainstream archaeology, there is still no evidence supporting this idea. Most Egyptologists also do not accept it. Nevertheless, this did not stop some engineers from studying the concept using their own knowledge of hydraulics. One of them is John Cadman, a marine engineer who became interested in the theory after reading an old book about the Great Pyramid in the late 1990s. As an expert in water movement and hydraulic systems, he thought of testing whether such an idea was really possible. So he built various scale models based on his interpretation of the pyramid's design. The first models were not successful. Some leaked, some broke, and some did not work as he expected. But he continued. After several attempts, he was able to make a model where the water moved the way he expected. For Cadman, this showed him that it was possible to use a similar design as a water-moving system. But it's important to clarify one thing. A successful model experiment does not necessarily mean that this was really the true purpose of the Great Pyramid. There's a difference between what could work and what was actually done. This is why most experts still do not accept the water pump theory as the official explanation. As Cadman continued his experiments, he noticed another strange effect. According to his observation, some of his models developed a vibration or pulse. As the water flowed, this is where the more controversial part of his theory began. He suggested that maybe these vibrations played a bigger role in the design of the pyramid. Later on, some supporters of the theory suggested that it might be related to energy or electricity. But at this point, scientific support for this idea became even weaker. There is still no archaeological evidence showing that the Great Pyramid was used as a power plant or electrical generator. No equipment, wiring, or any technology has been found to support such a conclusion. Because of this, most historians and scientists consider it to be just a speculative theory. However, there is one reason why it is still being talked about. The Great Pyramid is truly impressive. When you look at its size, the precision of its construction, and the amount of work required to build it, it's easy to understand why many people look for a deeper explanation. But sometimes the real answer might be simpler than we think. Perhaps the greatest secret of the Great Pyramid is not a lost technology or a so-called ancient power plant. It may simply be proof of how intelligent, hard-working, and organized the ancient Egyptians were, having built a structure that continues to amaze the world thousands of years later. Now let's shift a bit and talk about a well-known mystery. In the early 20th century, Nikola Tesla became famous for his experiments on wireless energy. He wanted to transmit electricity without the need for long wires. One of his most famous projects was the Wardenclyffe Tower in New York. It was a large tower built to test the transmission of energy using the ground and the atmosphere. But the project was not completed properly because he ran out of funding. This is where some people started to connect Tesla with the Great Pyramid. Some people said that the possible design of the pyramid is similar to Tesla's idea. The Great Pyramid used to be covered with white limestone casing. Limestone is not as conductive as metal. Inside the pyramid, there are parts made of granite, and granite has minerals that can react to pressure and vibration. Because of this, some researchers thought that maybe the materials chosen for the pyramid were not just ordinary stones. Maybe the combination of limestone and granite was intentional for a special function. But it's important to clarify, there is still no solid evidence that the Great Pyramid was used as a power generator. No wire system has been found, no battery, no machine. And there is no ancient record that says the pyramid was a power plant. So for now, this idea remains just a theory. Interest in this theory grew even more when robots studied the small shafts in the Queen's chamber. People can't fit inside these shafts. That's why robots were used to see what was inside. At the end of some passages, small limestone blocks that looked like doors were found. There were also copper pins attached to them. Because they were made of copper, some people immediately thought that it might have something to do with electricity. But according to archaeologists' more cautious explanation, the copper pin alone is not enough to say that it was an electrical system. It could be decorative. It could be symbolic. It could also just be part of sealing the shaft. The problem is we still don't have a complete answer. That's why it should be stated clearly. Copper was found in the shaft, but that doesn't mean the pyramid already had electricity. There was also a study in 2018 that examined how the shape of the Great Pyramid reacts to electromagnetic waves. The study showed that under certain conditions, the pyramid shape can concentrate electromagnetic energy inside and beneath it. This is interesting, but this does not prove that the pyramid generated electricity in ancient times. It only shows that when you use a modern physics model, the shape of the pyramid has a unique interaction with radio waves. Different shapes can react to energy in different ways. Actually being used as a power plant was different. That's where misunderstandings often happen. There are modern writers like Christopher Dunn who have put forward the idea that the Great Pyramid is a machine, one that draws energy from the earth. According to his theory, there may be a chemical reaction, vibration, and hydrogen as part of the system. But again, this is not accepted by most mainstream archaeologists as the official explanation. For most archaeologists, the Great Pyramid is part of the royal tomb complex of Pharaoh Khufu. It's not just a simple tomb. It was a massive project rooted in the ancient Egyptians' religion, power, and beliefs about the afterlife. In their belief, the pharaoh had a special role after death. So for them, it made sense to use massive resources for the pyramid. But even if we don't accept the power plant theory, it doesn't mean that the Great Pyramid is ordinary. In fact, sometimes the simple explanation is even more impressive. Think about this. They didn't have cranes like we do today. They didn't have modern trucks. They didn't have computer-aided design, but they were able to cut, transport, and arrange, and stack millions of stones into a massive structure that still stands today. That is the real mystery. There's no need to make it alien technology. No need to make it about ancient electricity. Because even with the evidence we have today, it's clear that the ancient Egyptians had very high levels of planning, organization, math, and engineering skills. And while there are theories that others continue to test, scientists and archaeologists also continue their work. They are now using robots, muon scanning, radar, and other modern technology to examine parts of the pyramid without damaging it. So it's possible that in the coming years we may discover new rooms, new passages, or new explanations about the real way it was built. But for now, this is the most balanced answer. The Great Pyramid has some unusual features. There are questions that still haven't been answered. There are theories that are quite intriguing. But there is still not enough evidence that it is an ancient power plant. What is certain is that the Great Pyramid is one of the strongest proofs that the ancient Egyptians were not just simple people who merely stacked stones. They were planners, they were builders, they were observers of the stars, and they had the ability to build a structure that even the modern world still struggles to fully explain. So perhaps the real mystery of the Great Pyramid is not whether it generates electricity. The real mystery is how humans were able to build it thousands of years ago. It's something that still makes the whole world wonder to this day, to be studied.